Hey everybody, welcome back to Kids Unboxing. For today's video, we're going to be reviewing the SH Monster Arts King Ghidorah and Godzilla, as you can see in the little corner right here. So if you're new to this channel, my name's Robert. I do a video every Sunday. If you enjoy this video, please leave a like and don't be afraid to subscribe. Hit that notification button to stay tuned to all the new videos I have coming next. So that said, let's get started. Alright, so let's begin with the king of all monsters, Godzilla. So this figure, created by SH Monster Arts, I believe for the design of this figure they used the original files from the movie, which a lot of toy companies say that, but there is, I'm not really sure if that's the case with this one, even though it seems like a lot of his detail is kind of simplified for the scale of him. There is a good amount of him. You can see especially in like the stomach area. He has, this very accurate, scale pattern to him. So if they did use the actual model from the movie, it does seem like it was simplified a little bit, obviously for the scale of the figure, but a lot of that detail is still there, and especially for the size of it, it's a pretty remarkable amount of detail, especially in the head area. You have this, that's where the smallest detail lies. They couldn't just so in comparison to the other Godzillas, he has a pretty small head, actually a really tiny head, and as the detail flows into the facial area, it doesn't lose any of that detail. It doesn't become this kind of like, let's see if it can focus. No? You don't want to focus? There we go. So yeah, like the detail flows into the face and it doesn't lose much detail. Obviously for its scale, it's pretty, I pretty much appreciate I really appreciate how, how they were able to keep all that detail within the figure. What I also like about SH Monster Arts is they create figures that are pretty posable. I mean, this one is like super posable, tons of joints, especially within the tail area. But it really gives it like that, it gives you that ability to dynamically pose, your character in whatever way, you want, especially because there is, more to the set. So being able to, create that diorama with all the figures is really cool. He has, opposable wrists. His whole stomach moves side to side. His legs are pretty dynamic. He has the, the ankle joint or the heel joint. Then he has like the knee joint. Like there's two joints in the knee, and then obviously like his hip joint moves all the way to his tail, and there's like a dozen joints in there. He's super dynamic, super posable, and then also he comes with this, which is a clear cast of his atomic breath. And one thing that I always see within sculptures of fire is it's really hard to give it that fire look to it, if that makes sense. It always ends, especially if it's blue, it always ends up looking like water. This one, it really has. They really captured that like atomic breath to it. It doesn't look like a flowing stream of water. It has that like sharpness and all the edges that give it that, that power to it, that fire look to it. And it's really cool. This, like I said, this head, there's two heads that come with this figure. The other head, I have no idea where it is. It was really weird because it had like this this blue socket where you would essentially plug this thing into, and which would hold the fire. Now as far as like the negative things, I noticed about this figure, like I said, he's super posable, which is really nice, but maybe a little bit too posable. There's so many joints, unnecessary joints within him that I find unnecessary. Obviously, it's the charm of SH Monster Arts is creating these like posable, high detail figures. But in the neck, like there's no there's no like flow to him. It like drops off right at the head joint, and there's like these loose pieces that are within the joints that are kind of just there to like fill. And like the biggest loose piece is back here, you know, and these are just like joints to fill in all the gaps, and there's no like mechanism to hold them in place, so they kind of just like sometimes just like fall back into the joint, and it leaves like this kind of valley, which you can't really see, but it looks weird, you know. It's just a bunch of unnecessary joints. Like this would have been better off with just like a 2 joint rather than, you know, or like a 1 joint, and it like blends in to the neck. But instead they made this like massive valley, and they fill it in with like a loose little detail piece that just like, if it's pulled forward it looks pretty good, but then, you know, obviously there's nothing holding it, so it just kind of like goes back into the other joint. And you know, like that's just, it's not a big deal, especially if it's just going to be posed, you know, you pull it forward. But considering like there could have been an easier and more cleaner way to kind of bridge those 2 joints together, you know, it is like, you know, it's not something I would have liked for them to do. You know, but the other joints, you know, they're not super noticeable. I mean they are, but it's, you know, for considering it's a SH Monster figure, you know that's what they're about, is just making high quality posable figures. But it's just these two extra pieces that are just kind of awkward. You know, they're loose, they don't have any positioning, they just kind of like fall back into place whenever they want to. And obviously the little atomic mouth socket, you know, to plug this into, it's just kind of weird. Like I feel like the one head would have been good enough if they would have made a little plug-in back here, and if they would have made like a little plug-in here, you could have just plugged it into the actual, you know, detail head and not have to resort to that other ugly little attachment. You know, so as far as this figure goes, I would give it at least an 8 out of 10. You know, it is super detailed. It is, you know, a nice little posable figure. But there's so many things that really bother me on this figure, and like, I know for a lot of people it might not be a huge deal, but for me it really bothers me, these little things, like, because this hangs off, you know, and it just slides and does whatever it wants. This little socket, or this little extra plating, kind of just falls back in to the other joint, and then it loses, you know, that bridge between the neck and the head, and then you just have this like weird valley. You know, he has a small enough head already, so it kind of makes his head look even smaller because it tapers instead of bridges. The fire breath, the atomic breath, I really wish they would have done like a more cleaner plug-in or attachment to the head, instead of that weird, you know, the secondary head with the attachment, which it doesn't even stick as well. You would have to have it posed up, you know, in his like iconic pose from the movie, and that's the only way for the other head, for this to plug into the other head. So, you know, I would give it an 8 out of 10. But you know, it's still a good figure. Still recommend buying it. I think I bought mine for like $60, you know, pre-order from a Japanese website. I'm not really sure what they go for now, but if you can find one, if you are a Godzilla fan, I would recommend buying it. But yeah, I'd say, you know, 8 out of 10, and let's move on to King Ghidorah. So here you have it, the SH monsterarts King Ghidorah. How do I go about this figure? So, like I said, I'll start off with the good things about this figure, and then I'll end with the bad things. So, to make things short, there's not a lot of good things about this figure. I mean, other than like it's grand, you know, it's a big, you know, it's a cool kind of overall piece. It's kind of wonky. The detail, you know, it has the detail in the body, in the heads, and in the tail. But compared to like Godzilla, him being such a small figure, he still has more detail than King Ghidorah. Obviously, they don't have the same type of scales and patterning, but it looks like his scales were like softened off. Like they were like they put in the detail of the scales, and then they kind of like sanded over it to like make it smoother. So it looks kind of weird. The wings, they're supposed to have this like membrane like texture between them, and it looks like they started at the tips, which have this really cool like momentum to them, and then it just like softens, and then they added like all this like randomized like patterning to it, and it looks cheap. Like it looks really bad. So I'm ashamed to say, but this figure, when I purchased it at $250 when it first came out. Obviously it's not worth that anymore. You could find this piece, I saw one out of a box for like $80, and I paid $250 for this one, and definitely not worth that. I think right now the price dropped to like, you find it for like $100. It's probably not even worth that one too. It's obviously, you purchase it for the name, SH Monster Arts, but other than that, like if you're looking for a good quality piece, it's not this one. You're not going to find it in this one. This is probably one of SH Monster Arts' weakest figures that they've come out with. And obviously you can tell just by how low the demand for this figure dropped. When it first came out, people were buying it and trying to resell it for tons of money. And then after like a couple months, people realized, wow, this is a really bad figure, and the price dropped by like half, more than half. The biggest takeaway from this figure is the detail is not there. It's really poorly done. Especially like in the front, it's okay, but it seems like they paid more attention to the front, and then when it came to the back, they just kind of like sped through it, because it definitely doesn't look great. It looks sloppy. It looks like a high school, sculpture. Like if you look at the membrane in the back, like it has no direction. It makes zero sense. The heads are fine. They're not bad. The paint job, they left it with like a very like bright pink in the gums, which makes it look weird because he's already bright. He's not even like gold. It's like a brownish yellow, and there's no shading to him. It's literally just like one color, and then you'll find like shading like a little bit in the front and then a little bit on the spine, and then you won't see another speck of shading, and it's just this whole uniformed yellowish brown color with these like super pink gums, and it's just awful. Like it's a really bad figure. I can't I just burned through the good things about it because there's not much. I'm trying to explain that this isn't a figure that you really want to purchase, especially for the price that it's going for right now. If you can find it for like $50 or something, maybe get it. But if you're a true collector and you're out there for the merchandise, other than like and not too focused on the quality, you just buy it because it's Godzilla and you're a collector. But if you're not and you're looking for like a cool King Ghidorah piece, trust me, this one isn't the one either. I don't know if you've seen the Defo Reel Godzilla, but that one's one of the worst of the Defo Reel figures, and I don't know what it is about King Ghidorah, they can't get it right, especially with this new design. Every figure I've seen or I've purchased is just really bad, and this one, this one takes the cake. It's, especially for the price it goes for, it's awful. It's a really awful piece. And SH Monster Arts is a great company. They make great figures, great high quality figures. I have a few of the figures and I really love them. Even this Godzilla I really like, But the King Ghidorah, what it is about King Ghidorah, I don't know if they assumed it was going to be such like a popular character that, you know, every company's trying to just bust out with a King Ghidorah design. But man, they rushed through this figure. They really rushed through this figure. It would be like a 5 out of 10. 5 being, you know, it's for display purposes, and it's like a cool addition to have to your SH Monster Art collection, especially if you get the Rodan and Mothra. But as far as like purchasing it to have like a cool, like just centerpiece or figure in general, like it's not for it. This isn't the one. I don't know what other company. I know Spiral Studios is making a King Ghidorah, and other than them, I haven't really seen a high quality King Ghidorah from Godzilla King of the Monsters. Like, they're all terrible. I don't know what it is, but they're all terrible. But yeah, even like size comparison, like I can't really recall, you know, any scenes in the movie, but he's massive compared to this Godzilla. And I don't know if this is the Godzilla before the atomic blast, but obviously it comes with the atomic breath to kind of, you know, mirror that scene in the movie where he like breathes fire in the air when he gets blown up, or he gets his home blown up. So he should be a lot bigger, right? But like compared to King Ghidorah, like he's tiny. And I don't know what it is. Maybe like they were hoping to make maybe they made it bigger because it would be more grander and people would like it a lot more. But like they should have shrunk it down. It would have made the figure a lot more manageable, because another negative thing I forgot to point out, the wings are heavy. Like he is supported by his 2 little feet, and obviously these little you know, clear plastic stands. And obviously if it wasn't for those things, he would completely fall apart. His wings are like a plastic. They're super heavy, so they just kind of like fall down and they slide out. You know, you would have to like literally like glue the wings onto the body in order for them to stay. I'm just gonna put this down for now. You know, it's a real shame. And his joints are always falling apart. This thing I feel like isn't tall enough, so like he has to like bend his knees in order to sit on it. And it's just, yeah, they should have shrunk it down at least to scale. If this is to scale, well then, you know, whatever. But it almost seems like he's massive compared to Godzilla. Like he's like massive, especially if this is like the Godzilla after he gets like blown up by the atomic bomb. Like he's kind of tiny, and it's just I'm not really sure why they went in this direction. You know, it's one of my least favorite figures from all my Godzilla stuff, just because it's so hard to like maintain. You know, his wings will fall off when he's displayed. You know, he'll kind of like lean forward. You know, he never stays put. So, you know I crapped all over this figure, and I apologize for SH Monster Arts for giving them such a bad review. But yeah, you know, they have a lot of great figures out there that I do recommend you going after. This is one of them. If you can find him at a great price, I recommend you getting him. But as far as King Ghidorah, I don't recommend that one. It doesn't fit. First off, it doesn't fit as far as scale in the series of Godzilla King of the Monster figures. But and on top of that, like he's not even one of those like figures you can fix by just posing it, putting it on the shelf. He's always falling off. His wings are always falling off. He's always leaning forward. You know, you put him on a high enough shelf, you know, you slam the door, you know, he falls off the shelf. It's gonna shatter. The wings are like a rigid plastic. So, you know, the tips are very fine. You know, this will crack if it hits hard enough. So even as a display piece, it's not the greatest. So yeah, I would give him a 5 out of 10. Godzilla, 8 out of 10. Still, it's still B+. But as far as this Godzilla King of the Monster series figures go, they haven't been the most promising. I haven't seen the Rodan or Mothra yet, but hopefully, those make up for this series being so terrible. But I'm being a little too harsh on it. Godzilla is a great figure. He does have his little flaws, but if you can get past all that, I do recommend, if you're gonna get any of them, get this one and not that one. Even like just trying to show you guys, it's all over the table. So yeah, so that's all for today's video. Hope you guys enjoyed. If you did, please leave a like, comment down below if there's anything else you'd like me to review on this channel. Also, don't be afraid to subscribe, hit that notification button to stay tuned to all the new videos I have coming next. I hope to see you in the next video. Peace.